Welcome everyone back to another Broker to Broker podcast. Extremely excited about this one today. My name is Mark Summers. I am the president of AIM. The person I am about to interview, I haven't seen in a while, but I've seen him at many of our events. We've had a couple cocktails over some discussions, but today I'll be interviewing the broker owner of True Path Loans, Adrian Placinta. Adrian, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
No problem. And I think you said right before this, and I want everyone to know because I know your personality and I know you're going to knock it out of the park today, but this is your first podcast you've ever done, huh?
First podcast I've ever done. Yeah, I'm not really a good salesperson.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Just listen, do what you do, talk about what you know, and I'm sure everything will be fine. So let's hop right into it, Adrian. How did you get into this business? What did you do before? How did you get your start in the mortgage industry? How did you get to True Path Loans? Give me the rundown.
Yeah, so 2001, I was playing football for San Diego State. I was a walk-on, which means I get the privilege of paying for college while being a practice dummy. So
Still
that
pretty
was
cool though.
cool. It was very fun. I didn't have to crash any classes. They got me in right away on everything. It was still a great experience. I still hang out with all those guys. Akbar Baja Miller is a host of American Ninja Warrior, and that guy still calls me about mortgages. So
Really?
it's yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
So yeah, after college, I moved back home to Orange County, California. At the time, it was the mecca of mortgages. In 2000, this end of 2005. So I got in mortgages right away. I started working for probably the first company that would hire me. It was a chop shop retail company, quick loan funding. Uh, Good old Daniel Sadik. I was there for 6 months and learned about the broker world. And then when I did, I left and joined the broker model. Got into that. I was really lucky to land at a good spot that survived through the crash. And I worked all the way through 2010. I took some time off, probably like a lot of people did at the time in the industry, just to rethink their whole career. Um, and we saw it bounce back really quick, so I got right back in. I ended up at a small broker shop until 2016, and then beginning 2017, I decided to go off my own. January 2017, I ended up applying with NAM at the time for the Kickstarter grant
Oh yeah.
through UWM. So I got the $10,000 to open up my own broker shop, and I went with $10,000. I made this thing work. So I was a one-man shop for a while. I had my first kid in 16. My second kid came in about 3 years ago. I was still a one-man shop at that time. I was probably doing like 30 million a month by myself,
Wow.
self-processing everything. Um, when my wife had our second kid, I got the itch to go back to college and wanted to go get a master's. And I told my wife that I enrolled, and she went and enrolled as well, 9 months pregnant. And
Really?
yeah, so this is 3 years ago. So still one man shop. We both were in school. We had the newborn. She's full time. She works in human resources for a publicly traded company. She has a solid job, which really allowed me to kind of take the risk that I did. Um, but yeah, we kind of went through it with school. I left a little early because we got in the refi boom, and it was just insane. So I just couldn't keep up with everything. When my wife got done with maternity leave, I actually closed down my shop and I worked from home so I could watch the kids. So this is 2019. For the first 8 months, I was working from home, watching two kids, still funding loans and processing. Um, and I went into Fuse in 19. What really stuck with me is you guys got to grow. You got to grow. Something's coming. Something big is coming. Rates are coming. They're gonna keep dropping. It just kept sticking in my head. I got to grow. So I always wanted to. I just didn't know how to hire people. Didn't know who to hire and all that. My first actual hire was, I got really lucky. It was a friend of mine referred this person over to me. She wanted to be an escrow officer, and I was self-processing at the time. I'm like, hey, how about you come work with me? And I was teaching her at my kitchen while watching my kids. So she's awesome though, Lauren Barteski. She processed for me for a year. We got in 2020. This is about a year and a half ago now. We had 100 loans in the pipeline, me and her,
Wow.
and
For for
we
for
we went
just you and her,
one
100
man
loans?
shop, 100 loans in
Wow.
the pipeline. I mean, this is in the heyday of the refi boom. I was missing phone calls left and right. I couldn't keep up. It was all self-generated. Um, and yeah, we looked at each other, and I was using an Excel sheet at the time, and we're like, what the heck are we going to do? And we're like, yeah, we just got to keep growing. My sister, my older sister, she has a master's in accounting. She was working at a company doing corporate audits of publicly traded companies, and she was working part time. She has 2 kids. I asked her to come aboard. She had a real estate license, so she had her GRE in California, but she came on to be my CFO. Took the books off of my plate, so I could focus on growing. Took all the licensing stuff. I took a lot of stuff off my plate. So having her is what really allowed me to focus on what I knew as mortgages and focus on growing and training. And then I had a good college buddy that was a medical device sales. The guy was a amazing at medical device sales. He ran a team. He asked me about getting in the mortgage industry. I'm like, man, I'll hire you. I'll train you. I'll get you licensed. Come aboard, be my sales manager. And he said yes. So I got him too. I had to spend money on both of these people. I put them on salaries. I did the whole thing, W-2, 401k matches. Like yeah, I went to works, but in the long run, if I didn't do that, I never would have been able to grow. Um, so yeah, the first hire was a processor. The next one was a CFO. The next one was a sales manager, and I taught everybody how to process. I had everybody processing. So um, that was my big focus always. I was never a good salesperson. I was always focused on the process. Um, and that's kind of how I focused, just kind of scaling. And then now we're up to almost 30 people, mostly processors, loan officer assistants.
So in 1 year, you basically added 30 people, about a year and a half?
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
insane.
Yeah, we can't keep up, and we're still busy. We're still missing phone calls. So
Well, you know what? We all miss phone calls here and there, but you guys are doing something right. I'll tell you that much. So one thing you brought up here was processing. So it's a big part. Some people brush it off. Some people make that a big part of their business. Obviously, you made it a big part of your business. So tell me about your background with processing.
when I first got to quick loan funding, I sucked as a salesperson. The first phone call I took, I didn't even say hello. I hung up on the person. I was so scared. So my boss was standing right behind me. He made me call him back. But yeah, I froze and hung up on the guy. So yeah, I was never a good salesperson. I actually approached the top salesperson on our team at the time. It was this girl, and I asked her, "Hey, can I help you process your files?" And just throw my name on there. 50-50 split. She didn't like the processing, but she was killer on the phone. She agreed. We went to our manager. He said, "All right, go ahead." We were known as like the loan couple because our names were on every file.
The
And
loan
I just
couple.
processed for her, and so that's kind of what kind of got me into it. And then when the mortgage meltdown was happening and regulators were stepping in, I really wanted to learn more about it. What really happened from behind the scenes, even the secondary market, servicing everything. I wanted to dive into it. When the NMLS came out, I was like one of the first people to go get it. I'm low 5 digits NMLS number, so kind of proud of that one.
Low digits. That's how
But
you know you've been there a while. Love it.
absolutely. But yeah, so I was always focused on the processing, and then when I got to the broker side, and working through the crash, uh, it was you process on your own. You did your own thing, and we had a bunch of lenders, and I just kind of figure it out. Um, so I had some success figuring that out. And then when I went to a small broker shop, we had an amazing processor. She did everything, but then I wanted to learn, so I'd keep asking her questions and just keep trying to learn more. So when I eventually went off on my own, I was comfortable doing it. And that was my big focus always, was the process, because it's you could be the greatest salesperson ever, and we saw that with the mortgage meltdown, or the with you could be the greatest salesperson ever, but we saw that last year with the low rates. Lenders couldn't keep up. They
Yeah.
get so many loans in process, you can't keep up, and you got to have a process, or else you're going to fail eventually. You can't scale. So that was my focus always. I always wanted that 7-day close, because that was the earliest you could close on TRID. Most of my purchases were 7 days. I tell
Wow.
my realtors, go do a 10-day contract. We got you. Um, when I first hired my processor, um, I went to Yosemite for a week. I got like emergency phone calls in Yosemite Valley. I had that thing clear to close in 2 days, and I was in the middle of Yosemite Valley by myself. I went to a
Wow.
hotel, got on the Wi-Fi, got all conditions, UWM, super clean, and I always moved quick, and then I taught Lauren that, and just every single person we have that touches a purchase, like we're speed all the whole way. So it's been a big factor in growing as well and getting more referrals and you know getting the personal referrals for sure.
Yeah, that's a good business model right there. If you're getting loans closed on purchases or CTCs within 2 days, that's damn impressive right there. Okay, so with your brokerage, how do you guys handle processing within your brokerage? Because you keep saying you suck at sales, which I disagree with, but obviously you guys are doing some good pro. So how do you handle processing within your company?
So I segmented it because if you're going to hire a new person to the industry, you can't teach them everything up front. They're going to get confused. So I broke up the roles. We have like 6 loan officer assistants, and they just help get the file from Flowify through Encompass, through lender portals, get AUS. I come in and scrub it up after, or we have someone that's designated to do that. And we have a second set of eyes on everything. So we're not just letting these people run on their own. And the biggest part of it was let them just focus on one task. Let them learn one task really well. Once they know that, they could train the next person that one task. And after a while, those tasks are going to add up.
Simple, love it, but you're absolutely right. Always have multiple eyes on the file. I agree with that. So okay, so you brought up some things there that I want you to touch base on if you can dive into a little bit. So with the processing and with your company, what does your technology look like?
When I decided to grow, I went all in. I jumped in the deep end. I didn't want to jump from CRM to CRM. And I was on Point for 15 years. I didn't want to teach anyone Point. So,
Right, right.
you know,
No one wants to teach anything about
no
point.
one. Yeah, so I didn't want to bring in, any new people and be like, all right, you're going to learn Point. So I looked around. I'm like, all right, what's the gold standard? Lender version Encompass is very expensive. The build out was expensive. We went through it. We have someone that's on staff that's just an admin for our tech stack. Um, I went with Salesforce Financial Services, building that out with Marketing Cloud, high end everything, enterprise edition on everything. So it goes from Flowify, which automatically goes to Encompass, which we could run DU in Encompass. We could push that to the lender portals. Um, we're trying to eliminate double entry. So it's not like, okay, now you got to take it from Flowify and you got to go enter it here and then you got to enter it here. It's having everything talk to each other really helps.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So you use all that. Do you use anything on the back end for closing and whatnot, or is that just kind of all more or less manually done?
So UWM close is so easy. It's easy to teach people that one. We do have Doc Magic. We do got docs through Encompass as well, but for the most part, I use the lender portals.
Yep,
It's
yep.
just
And then
so some of those one-offs that some lender made, like we had issues where 3 weeks in closing with some lender. Well, I could do Doc Magic.
there you go. And then what about a CRM? What do you, is that Salesforce? Or no, that's Salesforce Financial. But do you
I'm,
use Salesforce as well for your CRM?
yeah, we built out Salesforce for our CRM as well.
Wow, wow. And Salesforce is really really cool, but it's also I mean there's a lot that goes into that. So kudos to you for
Oh, yeah.
actually getting that thing set up where it fits your business model.
Yeah, definitely. It took a lot of work. We had a full-time Salesforce person on staff. Um, we customized that thing to make it work for us.
All right. So everyone now has heard your background, kind of understand how you guys go about doing things. So, what advice would you give to brokers looking to improve their process or processing, either one or both?
When I was a one-man shop and I used an Excel sheet, it was a very detailed Excel sheet, but that was after 15 years in the industry. Every single column that I added was a mistake that I made in a file. Um, once I made that one mistake, I never made it again. I learned from it. When I started teaching people, I was printing out approvals from the last 100 files. I'd review every single approval with them and talk through every condition and ask, what can we do to never see this condition again? And you just keep eliminating the ones that you see all the time. Yeah, you're going to get some weird files, but you don't need to get the credit inquiry condition on every single file. There's a lot of things that you could do up front. UWM with you know the easy, the six touch submission or whatever, like the ultimate submission, they really try to guide you through it. um, I had a long conversation when I first started to grow with Peter Galvez, and that guy's doing amazing things as well. And I kind of was trying to imitate him when I was growing.
Yeah, no, Peter's awesome. So, Excel sheets, I love them. But you brought up one thing that I absolutely love, and selfishly, I love doing these podcasts because I still learn. You know what I mean? And everyone can continue to learn. But I like how you said that you went back through your last, I think you said 100 files and condition sheets and went through and said, how can I not make this mistake again? A lot of times, I think what we do is that we make mistakes and we know how to fix them. Right. I mean, that's what brokers do. We're some of the most adaptive people out there. But I like how you took it a step further and said, okay, how can I never let this mistake happen again? Or how can I get this condition away so where I never see it again? So that's amazing. How long did that take
Yeah.
you?
We still do it weekly. Like we'll sit down as a processing team and just in a circle and just talk through every single approval and every single condition. Okay, what can we do on this? How can we fix this in Salesforce to make sure this never happens? And just work as a team to get to continuously improve that.
Yeah, we can always improve. And that's the thing. And that's where we're going to gain business. That's why we're going to be better than retail right there was with that topic and how you handled it right there. That's absolutely perfect. All right. So obviously you brought on a lot of people recently, like we talked about. We from an aim standpoint and from a member standpoint, we've been harping on people. You got to know how to scale your business. So you're training and scaling at the same time. So talk to me about it. So you went from a one-man shop to plus 30 people in the last year. How did you handle this scaling?
Yeah, my wife would say not well. But
Fair
uh,
enough. Fair enough.
but it was a lot of work. I was at the office, I think, almost till midnight 2 times this week already. um, so yeah, a lot of hours. I had to let people make mistakes. I had to let them make mistakes on my files, which really sucks when I know how to fix it. But you got to let them learn. A big part of it was you're hiring the right people as well. And then once they learn it, they train the next one, and you make it like, a group effort to get everyone trained up. You got to document the process. That's huge. If you're going to scale a company, you don't want to go through the training every single time. Make videos, make it easy for them, do handouts, document the process, do checklists. I have a checklist for pre-approval. I got a checklist for everything. So I could hand it to a loan officer assistant and they just go down the checklist. Um, because if you don't do that, then you can't expect a new person to just step in and just know everything.
Yeah, and remember it at the same time because every loan's different. Yeah, I mean they'll
Yeah.
they'll work on something. I'm training someone right now, just on a here there basis, and I still make those mistakes because we'll talk about self-employed borrower, have 20, W-2 employees, and then we get back to self-employed borrower and it's just different. So I love
Um,
that you have a checklist. Can you give me that
yeah.
checklist?
I'll email you some stuff. We're really lucky with self-employed, having my sister that was doing corporate audits. She knows how to read tax returns. So anyone that's self-employed, we got a genius over here.
That's perfect. Okay, so you're doing all this training. How did you do your training? I mean, was it just you? Did you sign them up for courses? Did you use like UWM Success Track? How do you train?
So I bought two big 32-inch monitors for each of them, and I stood right behind them. And I got the big monitors so I could see what they're doing. And probably have to apologize to a few of them. I'm sure my armpit was in their face half the day, but just one-on-one training, individual, and like I said, letting them make mistakes, let them go through the file and then correct it right before the LE goes out. But let them go make the mistakes and come back and show them how to improve it. And eventually they're gonna learn. For me, when I got in the industry, I felt after 6 months, I felt like an expert. So I feel a lot of people that after a little bit of time, it, it doesn't take that long to be really good at this.
So, okay, I'm a new employee for you. I sit down in front of this big screen, got you breathing down my neck. I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? But you're looking at me. What's your philosophy on this? I mean, do you just kind of sit them down and say, "Listen, we're just going to dive through files"? Like what's your philosophy on this? I know you said let them make mistakes, but there's got to be a little bit more to it, or else I'm doing something really wrong. No, I'm kidding.
So I mean, I initially I treated him like an assistant. I make him help me on whatever I'd be doing, or I would take a loan from start to finish with him. If I could do it in 7 days, I'd have him sit there with me and just watch what I'm doing. I tell them, hey, click here, point here. You don't need to know why you're clicking that box, but click that box, and just teach them that way. And then eventually they start to understand the why behind it.
Yeah, I broke mine up into like I think it was 9 different categories. And I said, "Listen, don't worry about don't worry about how they all come together. One day it's going to click." And that's what I seem to think that happens in our business is you do this stuff so you work on income, then you work on assets, you work on how to read a credit report, and then all of a sudden, escrows and title, and then all of a sudden it just comes together.
Yep. Yeah, we have people that just read credit reports and try to help with like DocuSigns for anything we need. We got people just for title. We got people, that take it from submission to clear to close. We got just closers. Just I definitely segmented it, and then yeah, I took this philosophy from UWM that they're really good about letting people move to other departments if they want to. I went out there for the broker owner class, and that was one thing that they talked about. Um, and I let that happen here where okay, learn this part, grow, teach the next person, and then move on to a different skill. And then I have people constantly just moving around to become the ultimate processor.
Okay, so you're able to give advice to a broker right now in terms of scaling. What piece of advice would you give them? Because it's not just a plug and play. A lot of it is a philosophy. A lot of it is, trial and error. But what advice would you give to a broker that's looking to scale?
I take this from Arnold Schwarzenegger. When I was a one-man shop, I listened to this one YouTube video, that motivational Arnold speech. And one thing he says is, "Don't be afraid to fail." And that I really took that to heart. I didn't see failure as an option. I wasn't afraid of it, and it allowed me to just continue to keep growing. And scaling and growing means a lot of money. You got to invest. It's not an expense; it's an investment. You can't be afraid of spending the money.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's dive into this a little bit. Let's talk a little bit here about your business. Where do you get your business from? Is it just straight referrals? Do you buy leads? Is it realtors? Is it other referral sources? Where do you get all of your business from? I mean, if you have 100 loans in the pipeline at one time, I understand rates were low, but a lot of people didn't have 100 loans. So once again, you're doing something right. How are you getting all this business?
Yeah, I think we're at 130, 140 in the pipeline right now. But
Good Lord.
it's I'm all personal referrals. I don't take any marketing calls even still. It's I hand out all my previous clients now. Some of my clients are a little mad at me about that. Sorry, but I had to focus on growing the company and not working for the company. Um, but it just for me, I never chased realtors. So there was a small broker shop I worked for like 4 years that we actually parted ways because that was his model. He wanted me to go shake realtor hands and to do all that, and I don't want to. I was fishing every weekend, so one man shop style. So it's I like the personal referrals. For me, it was always about speed, getting them closed quick. I wasn't always the best interest rate, but I was dependable. I have realtors that send me business only because they trust me, not because they know I'm gonna go see them at an open house or get them coffee. Like I don't send them anything. I don't even call these realtors. They call me. They refer friends to me and say, "Hey, this guy could get it done." So I constantly get emergency deals. Hey, this thing needs to close in 7 days. Hey, we just broke contract. Can you get this done in 2 days? So I built my referrals that way. As far as growing a team, yeah, I mean, once I got salespeople, I had to give them something. I can't just tell them to go off on their own and get your own referrals. So I do market for them. Currently, we're doing a lot of direct mail. I'm not sending that 175 on the VA, but we try to be real about it. I advertise points on those. You got to put a couple points and don't be afraid to sell points. A lot of them want that low interest rate. I specifically target a lot of jumbo because I'm in California. UWM jumbo was huge for us. So,
Yeah, that
so
UWM jumbo was huge for a lot of people. A lot of people were craving for that because no one else was really offering any good products. So yeah, no, for my business alone, that helped me out tremendously. And there's not a ton of them in Michigan, but there was a lot of people craving for it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we went all in on marketing on those.
Okay, do you do what's your social media look like? You do any social media?
So, I would, like I said, I'm not a good salesperson. I was always an introvert. I never even got on social media until I opened my brokerage, and that's how I found Brawl immediately because I was a one-man shop. I'm like, man, I got to find some help. Um, but I actually have someone now that's taking over social media, McKenna, and she's doing recordings and video. So I'm gonna try to get into podcast more and you know try to get out there a little more.
I know you keep saying you're an introvert, but you're not. You're really not. I felt the same way. Then I just said, screw it. Let's just keep moving forward. All right. So are you like on with your social media? Does you said McKenna? I think her name is right.
Yeah,
Is she on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter,
yeah,
everything?
yeah, yeah. I think she has a TikTok as well. Yeah.
I don't do
We-
TikToks. That's the one thing I refuse to do. All right. So, Adrian, I obviously 130 loans in the pipeline. You're an extremely busy man here. Let's take the last few minutes here to talk about this. You've been on every side of the business. You've been on the retail side. You went through the crash. You've been on the broker side, broker owner side, delegating things. I mean, since 2001, you've gone through a lot here. So you're the perfect person to talk to. And mind you, this stayed home to raise your kids and still did this. So which is commendable as well.
while in school, trying to
Yeah.
get a master's.
Yeah. See, yeah, exactly. Okay, so you're doing all this stuff. You got all these candles burning. How, let's just say you're on the stage at Fuse right now, okay? And you have a clean slate and you have the opportunity to talk to the entire mortgage broker community. What's the one piece of advice you would give to them?
Be involved in the community. If it wasn't for AIM, if it wasn't for the other brokers out there, if it wasn't for that original Brawl group, I would never be where I am now. I never would have found the support. I never would have found the motivation to grow or the know-how, or even the people that I've grown with. So yeah, be a part of the community, and speak up more, go to events. They really do pay off.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know about our events, which is funny to me. So every time I give, presentation, I'm always talking about our events because I know before AIM, I was really shy to go to events. And yes, you can call this a plug because Fuse is, right around the corner, and they're important to go to. I mean, to have this community behind you, they're all going to help you grow. So I'm going to take another minute of your time here. I know you've been to Fuse. Uh, what was your favorite thing about Fuse, or what do you think people got to understand about it?
Matt Ishby 2019 speech. Um,
It was pretty cool.
Man, that was really good. I listened to that even still. Um, yeah, it's the guest speakers you guys had. Casa. Yeah, that guy's very motivating. Ishbia, obviously. It's the whole reason I started growing was because of both of their speeches at Fuse in 2019.
Yep. That was by far, I think, my favorite event, just because, I think from an aim standpoint, we knew exactly what we were doing. We knew exactly how we wanted to attack it. And it was just fun just to see so many people in the crowd, have that camaraderie, be able to bounce ideas off each other. And I remember talking to you as well there. So no,
Yeah,
that's great. And that's why I love these events because Adrian, I would never have met you. I would never have met Chris Griffith. I never would have met so and so and so and so and all the people down the line that are literally pioneers in our industry.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned Chris Griffin. Actually, I'm part of Vetted VA too, so I'm also committed there as well. So I'm juggling that too. It's fun.
Good Lord. Well, my man, hey, listen, I really appreciate your time. You going to Fuse this year?
100%. Yeah, we're going. We're probably going to roll
Absolutely
deep.
love it. Absolutely love it, and I'm glad we'll see you there. I'm not sure when this one will be airing. I don't know if it's before Fuse, after Fuse, but I guarantee you Fuse is going to be great. So, and I just want to thank you for sharing your insights with us today. So, obviously 130 loans in the pipeline. You're a busy man, so thank you for everything you do, and also thank you for being a big part of our community.
Thanks, Mark. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yep. And then, just so everyone knows, Adrian, and we talked about this. He said this is his first podcast. I'm going to tell you, Adrian, you knocked it out of the park. So, everyone, thank you. Thank you for being with us today. Whether Fuse is right around the corner or we just passed it when you're listening to this, I'm telling you, Fuse is where it's at this year. And brokers, if you want to get caught up on all of our past podcast episodes, please head over to aimgroup.com/broker to broker. You can also listen to all of the broker to podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, Google, anywhere else where you can download podcasts. Do me a favor, subscribe to it, leave us a review. email me and tell me what you like, what you don't like. We want to always give back to the community. It helps us get the podcast out there and spreads the word that brokers are better. And Adrian, once again, thank you for your time today, and look forward to seeing you here in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Mark. Take care.
You too.